excited to do another episode. We missed you all. It's been another week. I know everyone's had their own things going on, so we're excited that you're able to still tune in with us for another episode. So, what are we talking about today?
So today we're going to have a conversation about blooming through the transitions of life.
Oof.
So just, we're all growing, we're planted, and then we grow and we evolve, and sometimes we outgrow some things.
It's like they're taken from you, or like you work so hard for something and then it's just gone. And then it's just like, I don't know where this came from, I don't know what's going on.
And I was trying to figure out, why did they keep asking me to do these different projects? Because I'm just
so
like,
many other people.
Yeah, and I'm just like, I'm not gonna say no. But at the same time, I was just like, Lord, what am I supposed to be doing?
Yeah, like I was right there, and unforeseeably, it was a whole pandemic. COVID happened, and they established a state of emergency, and no one was going anywhere. And so I was just like, now what do I do?
Welcome to another episode of In the Bloom of It All.
Hello.
My name is Tyree Montgomery.
And I'm Shyann Montgomery. And we are excited to do another episode. We missed you all. It's been another week. I know everyone's had their own things going on, so we're excited that you're able to still tune in with us for another episode. So, what are we talking about today?
So today we're going to have a conversation about blooming through the transitions of life.
Oof.
So just, we're all growing, we're planted, and then we grow and we evolve, and sometimes we outgrow some things.
This is true.
Yeah.
This is true.
So what are some areas where you can recall where you had to either outgrow relationships, maybe career, or anything in between?
I feel like I can recall a lot of moments of where I say I had to start over or bloom again. And there's definitely been some times where I felt pruned, where things are like, you pruned and things are taken and it feels like they're taken from you, or like you work so hard for something and then it's just gone. And then it's just like, I don't know where this came from. I don't know what's going on. But I think what I can circle back to is that things happen for a reason. God will put challenges and obstacles in there for us to learn and for us to stretch, for us to bloom. And it may not be in the spaces that we're familiar with. It may not be where we are already consistent and we got our roots deep into the ground and we feel like we'll never move, or this is just where we're always going to be. And then he's like, no, pluck. He said, so I'm going to move you over here.
Right.
From everything you know, from everything you're familiar with, from everything that you've attached to yourself as being who you are and your identity. And we're going to have you start over. And I'm like, huh?
Right.
What?
Right.
What do you mean? And, there are times where I felt like God is not very direct and he'll be very vague. He's like, move here. And I'm like, why? And he said, nothing. It's silence after that. And I'm like, but you said move. He's like, yes.
Have faith.
Yes, I did. Are you going to be obedient? Are you going to move? And I'm like, but what's going to happen?
Right.
But what's going to happen? Like, can you elaborate? He's like, I'll elaborate into all these obstacles and everything else. But when you come out on the other side of it, when you come out at the other side of being pruned and things are removed and you don't have the same friendships anymore, or, people are like, oh, you seem so different. Like other people will realize it before you realize it yourself, I think. And I went through that with transitioning from like middle school to high school, from high school to college, and being put in places where I felt uncomfortable. Naturally, I consider myself to be very shy and very introverted. So any scenario where it's going to more or less where I have to talk and conversate with other people, I'm going to be stretched, and it feels weird.
Yeah.
And it feels weird to be pruned. It feels weird to be uprooted, even if I know I'll be better for it. in the process of it, I'm like, why do you have to do that? Why do you have to be so harsh? Can you think of some times where it felt like you were being pruned and you just didn't know why?
Yeah.
Or being pruned and then you were like thankful for the pruning?
Yeah. I can definitely say career-wise, there were times where I was, like one particular opportunity I was at, and I really liked the job.
Yeah.
I felt like it was a job that was in alignment with me because I got to talk to people a lot. It was a very customer service. I had a lead position, so I helped train a lot of people.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it stretched me because I had to say yes a lot, even though I didn't know. And I was trying to figure out, why did they keep asking me to do these different projects? Because I'm just
so
like,
many other people.
Yeah. And I'm just like, I'm not going to say no. But at the same time, I was just like, Lord, what am I supposed to be doing?
Yeah.
And I don't want to mess up, and I don't want to, but one thing someone told me, a wise person told me a long time ago, is that you will never know how much reach you have until you are stretched. And I thought that was so profound, because once something is stretched, it can never go back to its original form. So when we're talking about like outgrowing jobs, people, or even your environment, we think about moving, or from one house to another. But yeah, it made me think about all those things. So now just being more open to the process.
Yeah.
Yeah, being open to the process. But that particular job, I was laid off at 3 times, and brought back all 3 times. And the last time, I had to make a decision to stay or go bet on myself.
Yeah.
So that was definitely a time where I decided to bloom and bet on myself. And that's, of course, when I took the opportunity to start my own business. So yeah, that was very scary.
Yeah.
Unfamiliar territory. Yeah.
And I've had, like, I say a similar experience too, with in between me about to graduate from college and taking those steps to, like, okay, so now I'm about to be a senior. Like, I'm looking for internships. I'm looking for all these opportunities. And at the time, I was very much into my concentration, which was journalism. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm going to do like feature writing and take pictures and be a photojournalist and stuff. So I got into this program, and we're marching through. I'm taking the classes. I'm doing 2 classes at once, and they're overlapping. I'm putting in all this work and this effort, and then the pandemic happened, and it got canceled.
Yeah.
I was supposed to go to New York City. I was supposed to go to Now This, go to
yeah,
Complex,
I remember that.
go to Times, New York Times, and I had meetings with all these people, and it all got canceled. And it was just like, this was like the catalyst. Like, I've been working these whole 4 years
for that
to get to this point, and I knew this program had that opportunity to get in those doors and have these interviews and rub shoulders with these already huge, big businesses and journalism platforms. And I was just like, I'm gonna be there, and that was like the goal, and that's what I wanted. And I got right there. It felt like I was right there, and unforeseeably, it was a whole pandemic. COVID happened, and they established a state of emergency, and no one was going anywhere. And so I was just like, now what do I do?
Right.
I did all this, got my degree, everything, and done. And I was just like,
what does this all mean?
I was like, what was it for? I started to question if I chose the right degree. Did I choose the right path? It's like other kids were going to like business school because they're like, well, business gets you money. Like, do I be a computer engineer? Like, something that I knew was going to actually guarantee me a job. I was betting on myself with something I had interest in and enjoyed, and I knew it was a competitive field, but I believed that I could be there. And then it was just like it was taken away.
Yeah.
And so it was just like, I don't have nothing to show for it. I don't know what to do.
Because you put so much into that.
So much into it.
Yeah.
So much attention, so many hours, and it was just gone. And I was just like, it was easy for making it seem like it was personal and that it was something that was just happening to me, but because it was happening to so many other people, the world, like literally the entire globe was also experiencing very similar things. It was easy to just be like, oh, this is just happening to me. Like, why did it have to happen to me? Why couldn't I have already gone on the trip, come back, and then it got canceled? Like, I wanted it to be so different. But in that process, I learned that maybe journalism isn't where I actually wanted to do, or maybe there's a different way to get the same outcome or the same experience. And what was it, like a couple years later, 2 years later, I ended up being an event manager and loved every moment of it. And I was able to not only type into my own, like, I'm very much a planner. I would say I'm more type A.
You are definitely a planner.
I like things to be a certain way, and I plan things, and I literally see
weekly
the whole
list, monthly list,
checklist.
Annual list.
Ooh, I love a good to-do list. I love a good checklist. Who
says that about a checklist? She romanticizes the checklist.
It's so good. The feeling, just you scratch it off. I use different colors, different markers. Like I have a system, and that system.
You just described food. You just described food.
So you just went to the French. You had a nice cuisine. You went to Italy and had a nice pasta.
That's what I was getting.
No, checklist, a to-do list. I did it every single day, and it felt so good to check things off my list. Like, that is the kind of person that I am. So when it comes to doing event planning, there's so many logistics and strategical planning that goes into it, and I'm like, I'm good at this.
This is me.
This is what I do by myself. Like, I don't have any problem with this.
Right.
It tapped into a niche that was already in me, and it's a talent and a gift that I already had of just organization and preparation. And I was like,
it kind of affirmed it.
It did. And it's just like, wow. And in that time, I don't even think I picked up a camera or wrote any stories or anything like that, but I realized a lot of the skills that I had were very much transferable. My discipline was transferable. Like, me being able to listen and problem solve was transferable. And that I appreciated because we had did so much, like, real life examples in college. And from that education, and then I was actually able to directly apply it, and I was like, I didn't think I was going to be here. If I was to know where I was going to end up on the other end, I probably would not have participated. Wow. I would have questioned it.
Really?
I feel like if God was to tell me, this is exactly where you're going to end up, this is exactly how it's going to happen, I'd be like, why would I do that?
Right. I do cameras. I do.
That's not what I want to do. That's not what I want to do. That's not a season I want to bloom into. That's not what I sowed my seeds into. I sowed it into this. And you told me you already put stuff over here. I didn't ask you to do that.
He said, we're going to make some adjustments here.
He's like, let me take
put
some
you
of those
over
and
here.
put these over there. And I was just like, but I was thankful that I didn't know. I was thankful that I was able to grow and be challenged and start over and use the tools that I did have and actually see it become something.
Yeah.
It made me feel better that it wasn't for nothing because I ended up somewhere that I actually enjoyed.
I think that's awesome, especially when you can go through it and then come out on the other side, not only looking back like, I'm so glad that happened, but at the same time, how can I expand on this?
Yeah.
Because we can always go through a circumstance and see where it looks very complex. We're in the thick of it. It just seems so uncomfortable. But when you have a few of those, you live long enough, you have a few of those experiences, you kind of start taking stuff head on.
Yeah.
Because you know that this is just a process. But if I'm aligned with this as of right now, I can only see where this could go.
Yeah.
You know, like for example, that time at the company I was telling you that I was laid off 3 different times, and then there was people that came into that office a lot of time, and they were there for meetings. And I was assistant to the director. And so a lot of times I was helping coordinate those meetings. Well, during some time, I was making connections and meeting these same people. We got quite acquainted.
Yeah.
So when it came down to it, one of those people was very instrumental in helping me get clients when I started my business as a web designer. He also invited me to be on his board. So here was a time when everyone's getting pink slips and potentially not gonna have work. I had a transferable skill that was utilized to do graphics and to do different design work there, and this is where I was getting paid on the job, to where now I'm betting on myself, not knowing the piece on how do I get myself out there, how do I get clients, how do I get to the part where I'm getting paid for doing this work.
Yeah.
And he just kind of extended me into his network, and now I was able to leverage his network, but it required me to put myself out there to talk to other people, and it was scary. It's very uncomfortable.
It's very scary.
Yeah.
It's very uncomfortable. And even though I would say we've probably gone through it multiple times, it still feels fresh.
Yeah.
Every time.
Every time.
I'm like very just like in awe that I have to go through these certain things, or like, gosh, this is so hard. It wasn't this hard last time. You start trying to compare different like transitions to each other, and it's just like, nope, they were different.
It's almost like God allows you to get to a level of confidence in doing what it is that He's already enabled you to do, or even gifted you to do. Because I believe we do have the abilities to do certain things through learning a skill set. And then God gives us a gift that we get to be able to apply to life as well. But it's like He wants you to rely on Him still. Like, not get so sure of yourself.
Exactly.
So when we go through different things, it's almost like, don't think that you're so great at what you do to where you don't need me. So we'll still get stretched, we'll get challenged, but it's all just working together, for the good and for us to get better. But yeah, He wants to be a part of the process. And I think those are those moments where we're always reminded, like you said, you still get nervous sometime when you're presenting or you're putting yourself out there, or even this project. This is a moment in time where we're blooming, using our skills and outgrowing things that, I'm not going to say that it's because it doesn't serve us anymore, but we realize we have to grow and we have to try new things, and not everything is going to be a part of that journey.
And so I'm also now I feel like I'm looking forward to planting seeds elsewhere. I feel like before I was just like, I don't want to move. I'm very comfortable with where I'm at. I may not like it, but it's something I know. It's something I'm familiar with. I'm familiar with this specific challenge. Any new challenges, I'm like, why? I don't want to go through another thing while I'm already going through a thing. But I know that because of the things that's happened in the past, and that I've been able to get on the other side of it and see the other side, I can do it again. I know that I'll be okay.
Yeah.
It may look different, but I know I'll be okay on the other end. So it makes it easier to like welcome challenges and welcome uncomfortable spaces, because I know I'll be okay no matter what. That's a hard realization. That wasn't always the case.
Because if you think about it, like, you have a history now.
Yeah.
That you're going to say, okay, I've been here before. Yeah, it's a different song, but it's the same beat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I just have to get used to the rhythm of it all. And there's going to be parts where I don't know the words, to the note or to the song. But eventually you'll get the melody, and it's just a process. You just got to keep grooving with it. And eventually you will master that too, and like you said, helping and extending yourself to others, doing something bigger than yourself. I feel like that is a lot of the reason why I was excited about doing this.
Yeah.
It's because you can go through life experiences, but when you get all this wisdom and information and you have these conversations like we do, or even with friends, and you're just like, other people can benefit from this too. How can we share it?
And it's like actual clear evidence. Like, the skills that I learned in college, I'm actively using to this day.
Okay, share a little bit of that. What are you doing?
I used to go into a studio every day, set up cameras and lighting, and do photo shoots and stuff as part of like my assignments. And I'm literally using that whole lighting setup and cameras and microphone. Like, it was preparing me for this. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I thought it was preparing me for a different track altogether. But either way, the tools I needed were already inside me.
So where did you see yourself being?
I saw myself either taking pictures for like college basketball, college football, being more of like a sports photographer. I also thought I would be doing interviews and like feature stories for local businesses and people and just like, prominent people and individuals. And I thought I would be doing that.
I mean, you still can.
I still can.
Yeah.
But I think the interest is kind of changed. It's not that I don't want to, is that it's a different time.
And this is where you are right now.
Yeah, and this is where I'm at right now.
That's awesome.
And so that's kind of how I look at it.
The bloom.
The bloom. Bloom.
I love it. So we have big lights here. And I don't know anything about this stuff. That's definitely her thing.
Yes.
For me, I've always liked to speak. I've been in spaces and places where I've been asked to speak on different topics and things of that nature. So that's something that I've always enjoyed doing.
Yeah.
But for some reason, when you get me in front of a camera, I'm like, I just freeze up.
And I'm the opposite. I can do this all day. But then I'm actually in front of people. Then I'll be like,
Water.
So,
yeah.
Public speaking is not my strong suit, but the small, intimate settings, I'm like, that's fine.
Just flourish. Yeah.
Just be cool. So, with that, I want you guys to comment and just think of a time where you sowed seeds or where you were pruned or where you faced a challenge or obstacle and then had to pivot. Transitions in your life where you didn't know if you were going to end up on the other side. And when you did, what was that like? And how did that feel? And I'm sure there's someone else who probably went through the same thing you went through and, just had a different perspective overall.
Absolutely. And then also, what did you learn from it?
Yeah.
And how is that serving you today? What you learned from it? I think a lot of times we can go through stuff.
Yep.
And then we forget that there were some gems through their process. So if we go back and look at, okay, what did I learn from that? And how can that apply to what my next decision is or what I do now? And it's almost like you are doing maintenance. Check in with yourself. How can I be in a place of do preventative work? I don't know. It could be with relationships too.
Yeah.
You realize certain people through your process and your journey may look different on the other side
for sure
of that experience.
Also, it's like, think of a time. Did you bloom this week? Do you feel like you challenged yourself this week? Did you feel challenged this week? We want to know.
Yeah.
We want to know.
Absolutely. I would love to hear it. We're also building community here.
Yes.
And we're a lot like you, I'm sure. We're just having conversation and dialogue, and just getting out things that we've been through. But we also want to have that same dialogue with you all. So,
not only are we growing as individuals and as mother and daughter, we are also growing with you all and want to continue to nurture that growth with everyone else. So bring us in. We want to know.
Yeah. And what else do you want to hear from us?
For sure.
Yes. We bring our own experience of, your challenges and relationships and at your tender young age and growing into your adulting experience. Looks different from mine. I mean, I still consider myself young, tender as well. But, being married with children and navigating career and friendships. And all of that looks different over time.
For sure.
You can have the same friends from 20 years, and then you get to this point in your life and you realize you went from a squad to a little cove. I mean, and it is no love lost. It's just our life changes. And like, I had kids much younger, and I got married much younger. My adulting experience started a lot earlier than a lot of my friends, so it looked different. I overcame challenges. I had to pull back from being outside and focus on family dynamics and skills so I can help sustain with my husband, our family, and your dream and your vision start to mold differently because you're evolving it around what works well for your family and your husband, and what works for that dynamic. So there's so much that goes into,
and there's so much that we can talk about.
Yeah.
So who knows?
Absolutely.
Maybe we'll talk about one of the topics that you guys share inside of the comments. So we're excited to see those start to roll in. And who knows? Maybe one of these episodes will be something that you guys already mentioned.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. But thank you for spending time with us. And remember, healing is hard work.
And you're not on this journey alone. You're never on this journey alone.
Absolutely not. You got us. So until next time, have faith
and keep blooming. Bye-bye.